Good, good milk, good God. Start again. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing this glorious, glorious Saturday afternoon? We're in a heat wave at the minute. Absolutely splendid. Beautiful out. The sun makes me happy. I hope it does make you happy too. It puts a spring in my step. First of all, welcome to my channel, guys, Motocross Mania TV. Thank you to everyone for subscribing. Thank you to all those that leave positive feedback and comments underneath my videos. I really do appreciate it, and it makes me very, very humble when I hear my followers are getting inspired by me, because that is what I stand for. That's what I'm all about. Inspiration, motivation, dedication, momentum, the future, going forward in life. That's what I'm all about. I'm not about the money, because I work for a living. I've got my own little building company. I employ people when I need them, but I like to plod along and do my own thing and take my time. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So yeah, I'm not going to be talking to you about work, guys. But yeah, as I say, I hope everyone's having a good weekend. Well, as you can see, I'm out on my bike again, doing my daily exercise. Working my way up to do probably around 15 or 20 mile. But like everything, you've got to work your way up to these things. There's always steps in life, baby steps. I've always been into fitness all of my life. Even when I was the other side of the fence, I've always hit the gyms, and I've always been a very outdoor type of person, you know, hands-on type of a man. But I did go through a stage when I got out in that big sentence, that 12-year sentence. I did go through a stage of eating the roids, eating whole chickens and rice every day, you know, tuna, and whacking myself up with roids. So I did go through that stage, but looking back on it now, it was all false. It's all fake. It's fake muscle what you're putting on, really, to be totally honest with you. And you're not being yourself when you're on that, when you're on the roids. Even roids alter your mind, alter the way you think. They make you think that you're invincible. They make you think that you're the most powerfulest man in the world, and that you can fight and beat up anyone you want. The worst thing to do on it is to drink, and that's what I used to do. I used to bang myself up. Well, one of my mates used to do it for me, and we used to hit the pubs during the evening, and that's when the violence used to happen. And yeah, there was quite a lot of violence around that era. That's probably around 2005, 2006, around that year there. So yeah, I'm dead against roids now, because I've got the first-hand experience of what they do to people. And at my age, I'm not into muscle anyway. What I'm into at my age, let's put my arm out, so I'm going around and roundabout. What I'm into at my age, I've got a bit of competition. A couple of geezers on the bike. Go on, lads. What I'm into these days is CV, cardiovascular. I'd rather do light weights and more reps. So I'm more of a circuit type of a man, you know, stamina and things like that. When you're too big, you're too bulky, you're muscled out, you know, you think you're Mr. Universe, you think you're the best, and it ain't always the best look. It ain't always the best way to be. It really isn't, you know, because your fitness comes first, don't forget, you know. And the reason why fitness comes first is for your health. It opens your airways up, you can breathe better, more in your lungs, out through your mouth. I always breathe up through my nose, out through my mouth. I always do that. But yeah, watching a bit of watching a bit of women's boxing this morning on YouTube. Savannah Marshall, and Katie Taylor. So Savannah Marshall lost the fight. She works, or she trains under the Furies, so she's at their gym. You can see she's got Tyson Fury's ways, you know, her foot movement, but she completely and utterly got outboxed, especially in the later rounds. That's my opinion anyway. You know, I think she might have underestimated her opponent, to be totally honest with you. And that's the worst thing you can do, is never judge a book by its cover. That's another big mistake what people make. They look at people and they think, look at that idiot. But I'll tell you something now, that idiot is the person that will put you straight on the penny. I found that out later on in life too. And that comes for like, that also covers like living, where you're living. You know, I come from southwest London, Tooting, Streatham, Balham, Brixton, Clapham, all round that way. Battersea, Stockwell, known throughout southwest London. Someone who vouched for the way I was back in the day is Noel Razor Smith. So big shout out to you, Noel. But he knows me from way back in the day. I'm talking about since the early 80s, when I first started climbing up the ranks. And yeah, having demand ups. Anyway, changing the subject yesterday, it's my birthday yesterday, 57. And to be totally honest with you, although I've got emphysema and I still smoke tobacco every now and then, I have a roll up, you know, I feel very fit for my age. Everywhere I go, you know, if people ask me my age and I say 57, they say no way, you don't look 57, and I think that's, to be totally honest with you, that's down to a few things. One would be the fitness, what I always do, the training, what I've always done every day, even when, you know, I've just got out, and even now today I've got dumbbells indoors, and I do light weights. As I said, I don't want to bulk up, I don't want to put on much muscle or nothing like that. I just want my health, I want my fitness, which I've got in abundance. I'm very happy for that. You know, you could say I'm fighting fit at 57, who would have ever thought it? And I tell you what, looking back, a reflection of myself from years ago, I'm totally and utterly reformed. And people actually remind me of that. When I bump into people, they say to me, they can't believe how much in life I've changed. So if I can do it, I'm going to pull over and have a drink. If I can change, and I'll tell you something now, anyone can, because I didn't start changing until I was in my late 40s. It's never too late to change, it really ain't. I'm talking to a bod was in Elmley Prison at the minute. Big shout out to you guys in Elmley Prison. Soldier on, boys. One day you'll be free. My advice is keep your head down, you know, stay out of the way. Don't get involved in politics, especially amongst inmates. Don't get pulled in, don't get reeled in. You know, because there's some inmates in there what thrive off of things like that, and they will drag you in. But yeah, he's in Elmley at the minute. I'm not going to mention his name. He's commenting underneath a few of my videos if you want to have a look. And he's going to Rochester. And that's going to bring me on to what I'm going to talk about to you next, is Rochester Prison. I was in Rochester. Now don't quote me on actual years. I might be 1 year, I could be 2 years out. But I was in Rochester Prison. I'll say in the 80s. Yeah, I'll say in the 80s. Probably 82, 83, around them years. I was in there as a young offender. The screws in there, you got you got two landings, the ones and the twos. And when I was in there, it was all slop out. There was no toilets in the cells. We just had a piss bucket. What we had to do, had bits and pieces in. Just let me get off the road for a minute, guys. Thank you. So there's some nice people about, like, when I see people on bikes, like they actually go out of their way to help you and let you buy and things like that. And that's because of everyone respects that. Literally everyone respects, you know, for what you're doing. if you're doing goodness in this life, if you're doing good things, then you get rewarded. If you're doing bad things, you get rewarded with bad things. If you're committing crimes, you might think you're getting away with it. You might get away with it for a long, long time, but in the end, you'll get your collar felt, it'll all come crashing down, and it ends up in tears. And that is the dead honest truth. Let me just check this view out, man. I wish I could take my phone off the old and show you. I'm on a bridge, basically, looking down at the railway lines, and my view is the South Downs. What a beautiful place, man. What a beautiful place. Let's have a drink. Yeah, Rochester. As I say, you had the ones and you had the twos landings. I was on the ones, and it was the silver trays. You used to go to the dining room, have to eat your food at the table. It's very civilised and very strict. I see a few bods getting it with them old silver dinner trays too, and I probably hit a few people with them too. But they left a really nasty injury because it's obviously metal, and you know we should straighten the corners out to make them sharp. So yeah, I don't really want to go into that. But yeah, Rochester, as I said, it was old school. The screws in there were very, very old school. When I was like in there in my early, say 18, 19, 20 as a young offender, all the screws then was in their late 50s. So they're probably passed away by now. You might have one or two of them still in there, but generally it weren't a bad jail. Pretty strict. It was pretty strict. If I remember rightly, you had a jail opposite it, a woman's jail, and I think it might have been called Cookham Wood or something like that. And I'm sure Myra Hindley was in there, and she used to come into the young offenders, the male's young offender. God, you wouldn't believe it. As an apprentice hairdresser, and she used to cut all the cons' hair. Can you believe that? After the crimes what she committed, and I'm sure it was Myra Hindley because she had bleached blonde hair. But yeah, I might put that on the title actually. She was opposite, and I see her a few times. Hello, cutting. How's the guy in a wheelchair, by the way, with no legs? Just smiled at me and said hello. But yeah, Myra Hindley, man, she had piercing eyes. You could see evilness in her eyes. But then, as a young offender, I didn't really give it much thought because, as I always say on my videos, when you're in that mindset and you're in jail, it doesn't matter who's in there. They're not no better than you. They're the same as you. Money, power, strength, how hard you are, don't come into it. When you're in jail, everyone's on the same level. It really is. So yeah, jails have come a long way since then. You know, them days we had a piss bucket. The cells were freezing cold. I remember my cell in Rochester, and what I'd done is on the back wall, you're not supposed to put posters. People did, you know, put pictures up. I actually took 2 blocks out, and it wasn't on purposely to escape or anything like that. I didn't have that in mind, but I was just seeing if I could do it, and I started scraping the blocks. I'm sure those even breeze blocks. I don't even think they're concrete blocks, which I took one of them out. Yeah, and before I knew it, my whole arm was outside, on the outside. It did cross my mind, it did enter my mind, should I do one? But then you had the big eye fence around you, you had the screws walking around with the dogs, and I didn't fancy it. It was just a challenge for me to see if I could. And yeah, that's how old and ancient that prison is. The walls were literally falling apart, and early hours in the morning I used to hear it like a rustling noise. Always used to hear a rustling noise, and I just thought it was rats or mice, you know, around the prison. It wasn't until one early morning, about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I got the munchies, and because you could buy cereals, and I opened a packet of Weetabix up, and out come a massive cockroach, and I mean big, and that was what I heard rustling in my cereal packet for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I never knew what it was. And after I see that cockroach, I was then aware that there's cockroaches in there. So I see quite a few. It was literally filthy. The jail was filthy. The walls were grimy. There wasn't hardly no lights in the cell. There was hardly no furniture. The wall, oh, it was disgusting. But then I think they turned it into a detention centre for asylum seekers. And after that, I believe they turned it into a woman's prison. So they must have modernised it to be able to do that. Let me know, mate, because you're going to Rochester. So when you're in Rochester, bruv, please put a comment underneath when you can, because obviously I know the apple, bruv, like you do. But yeah, when you can, let me know what they've done to that prison, because to me that prison should have been pulled down a long time ago. The same as Wandsworth, you know, they've been speaking about pulling that down too, because it's an ancient horrible jail. But yeah, I mean, anyway guys, I'm rambling on, but I'm going to shoot off here because I'm just about to go in Halfords. I've been told by my family members that I must invest in a crash helmet. Yes, a crash helmet, and that'll be for when I'm out on my bike. And at first I shrugged my shoulders and thought, nah, that's not a bit of me. But thinking about it now, you know, you never know, do you? Look what happened to me the other day with all the protections on the motocross bike. And I'm a good rider. I've been riding all my life, so it does happen. Accidents do happen. So just out of safety, I'm going to go into Halfords and buy myself a crash helmet, and I'll get back to you a bit later on. Whatever you're doing, stay safe and have a great day. Peace.